2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Standout.
In the next 7 minutes or so, we look back on a further week of war in Ukraine, the welcome release of Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, the shock P&O ferry announcement, and a president takes a swipe at David Attenborough. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7. Don't forget to hit the follow button to get your daily updates at 7 a.m. As the war in Ukraine entered its 4th week, Russia's invasion appeared to stall. No more cities fell under Russian control, and the advance on Kyiv was successfully held back by local forces. But that didn't stop Russia from committing terrible atrocities against the Ukrainian people. A school and community centre were destroyed by a Russian airstrike, with dozens killed or injured in the town of Mariifa near Kharkiv. 10 people were killed while queuing for bread in Cherniv, and a bomb was dropped directly on a theatre in the city of Mariupol. Over 1,000 locals were seeking safety in the basement, and the theatre had the word children painted outside in Russian. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko was asked about Putin's claim that only military targets were being hit.
Bullshit. Sorry. Where is military target? This building is military target.
President Zelensky continued his attempts to rally support from Western leaders. Whilst the prime ministers of Poland, Czechia and Slovenia were brave enough to pay him a personal visit, Zelensky also appeared via Zoom to parliaments in Germany and Canada, as well as the US Houses of Congress, where he showed a video of the horrific toll the war's taken on his country and concluded with a message in English for Joe Biden.
I'm addressing the President Biden. You are the leader of the nation, of your great nation. I wish you to be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace.
This was also the week that the United States upped its rhetoric on Russia. Russia threw the first salvo, sanctioning a number of high-profile people, including Hillary Clinton, Antony Blinken, and, well, as Press Secretary Jen Psaki explained, not the president.
I would first note that President Biden is a junior, so they may have sanctioned his dad. May he rest in peace.
Biden Jr. then called out Putin as a war criminal, whilst also labelling him a murderous dictator, which angered the Kremlin. Psaki hit back.
It's pretty rich coming from a country whose actions are unforgivable in the eyes of the global community.
President Biden later outlined an additional support package of military measures for Ukraine worth $800 million.
It'll include 7,000 small arms, machine guns, shotguns, grenade launchers to equip the Ukrainians, including the brave women and men who are defending their cities as civilians, and they're on the countryside as well. This will include drones, which demonstrates our commitment to sending our most cutting-edge systems to Ukraine for its defense.
Backing up his president, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says experts are in the process of documenting and evaluating potential war crimes being committed by Russia in Ukraine.
Intentionally targeting civilians is a war crime. After all the destruction of the past 3 weeks, I find it difficult to conclude that the Russians are doing otherwise. We'll make sure that our findings help international efforts to investigate war crimes and hold those responsible accountable.
After 6 long years in Iran, Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe finally returned to the UK on Wednesday night.
Do I smell nice? I've been having a shower.
Nice for daddy.
Nazanin's sister-in-law Rebecca gave details to BBC Breakfast.
The first reunion was about just after 1:30, lots of cuddles and tears. I can tell you that Richard and Gabriella and Nazanin all slept together in one bed last night for the first time in 6 years. I think they were catching up on some well-earned rest.
They were being held as part of a long-running row between Britain and Iran, which has finally been resolved, as Foreign Secretary Liz Truss explained to the House of Commons.
After highly complex and exhaustive negotiations, the more than 40-year-old debt between the International Military Services and the Ministry of Defence of Iran has now been settled.
So the question is, why didn't Britain just pay up years ago? Government Minister James Cleverly attempts to explain.
Because of Iran's behaviour, there are a huge number of international sanctions against them, and UK sanctions. So it is technically not easy. You cannot just write a cheque. It doesn't work like that.
In an attempt to combat the continued cost of living crisis and prevent inflation from running further out of control, the Bank of England raised interest rates for the 3rd time in 4 months. And there was further evidence of the economic fallout from both Brexit and the COVID pandemic as P&O Ferries stopped all services and sacked 800 staff with immediate effect in an attempt to drastically cut their costs. Staff were informed via video message.
I am sorry to inform you that this means your employment is terminated with immediate effect on the grounds of redundancy. Your final day of employment is today.
After finding out they're to be replaced by foreign agency staff, workers were told to leave their ships immediately, but many refused and had to be forcibly removed. Transport Minister Robert Courts was visibly angry as he gave an emergency statement to Parliament.
These are hard-working, dedicated staff who have given years in service to P&O. The way they have been treated today is wholly unacceptable.
Still to come on the Standout 7. Remember COVID? Well, it's still here, and Ryan Reynolds faces a very awkward question right after this. Welcome back.
As COVID cases spike in Hong Kong, setting new record numbers of cases and daily deaths, and China and New Zealand also struggle, the number of cases in the UK is increasing again. Hospitals in England now have over 10,000 COVID-19 positive cases for the first time in a month, and a new variant called Deltacron's been identified in the UK. Health Secretary Sajid Javid says he's not concerned as yet.
And whilst the rate has gone up, that's to be expected as we are now open as a country. There's nothing in the data at this point in time that gives us any cause for concern.
Transport Secretary Grant Shapps is even less concerned as he announced all remaining travel restrictions are to be lifted from Friday.
Because of people's high response to all of the vaccinations, we're now able to scrap that remaining bureaucracy. I think it would be great news for travel. They're now able to do that without all the bureaucracy and paperwork.
If you've got kids, you'll be friends with public embarrassment, but maybe not in front of a global online audience while promoting your new film. Ryan Reynolds took part in a live-streamed Q&A for the Adam Project when a young fan quizzed him about a certain scene with Zoe Saldana.
Ryan, in the scene where you were kissing the girl, was that real?
Whoa! How do I answer this? I didn't mean it? This is the thing, I don't know how to explain this to my own kids. Like, they watch this and they're like, Daddy, what are you doing? Like, it's like exactly the tactic I would use on them, not anger, but just disappointment. Yeah, great question, though.
If you're like me, every time you see David Attenborough's name trending, you fear the worst, and maybe you're not alone. But fear not, there might just be a new nature documentary guy in town. He's got a brand new 5-part Netflix series called Our Great National Parks, and well, he goes full Attenborough, exploring all of the wonders of nature. But who is this mystery man? Why, it's former US President Barack Obama.
Join me in this celebration of our planet's greatest national parks and wilderness. Around the world, the more isolated the national park, the more unusual its creatures, and the more extraordinary their behaviors.
This has been the Standout 7, the best of the week from the Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. with the Sunday 7. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.